Oh, f***. Oh, I really f***ed up this time.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah, and this is my life.
Long story short, I think I really screwed the pooch. These are my Battleborn batteries, which are quite expensive. They're lithium batteries. They have been really great up until now, but I did something pretty stupid, and I'm not sure I can fix it. These batteries are meant to operate at a certain voltage, both receive flow of electricity to charge and discharge that electricity to power all of my different things. The issue is that that is no longer happening, and therefore my heater is not working, my lights aren't working, my induction stovetop isn't working. Everything that I need to be working, it either works briefly or it flutters out. There's just a lot of issues going on right now, and I think I know the root of all of it.
You see, the issue is I came home for a couple of days, stayed in my parents' house, enjoyed a shower, enjoyed real food, and I left my van out here and I left my batteries in the van in 1 degree temperature for multiple days, which eventually brought the charge profile so low, the ability to be able to discharge and absorb electricity, that they're no longer functioning as they should. So I actually had to bring the batteries into my house and wrap them up in a blanket, not literally, and throw them in the basement, trying to return them to a normal temperature profile.
The issue isn't just returning them to the same temperature and then hooking them back up and hoping everything works. First of all, I don't even know if that's going to work. I don't know if they're irreparably harmed. I do think the lifespan is probably reduced as a product of this, but my highest hope is that I hook them back up and everything turns back on. But I think certain things were messed up, like the synchronization between my thermometer and my heater. It doesn't seem to be synced anymore, which means I have to make a trip to an actual shop, a van upfitting place, to get the heater looked at. It's a lot of issues that come of just this one small mistake, letting my van sit in 1 degree temperature or less for multiple days. And I knew in the back of my mind, I knew I should bring the batteries in, but it's such a hassle. You have to unhook them and drag them in. So I'm gonna try hooking them back up right now, and fingers crossed that this actually fixes the problem, because this is an expensive and potentially terrible way to be starting this 2021 year. It looks like the batteries may be functioning like they're supposed to be, but the heater is still completely unresponsive. That was an expensive install, and the people who worked on it are 6 hours away, and I had a plan for what I wanted to do for the next couple weeks, but now I gotta shift all that around to go see these people and see if they can fix my heater for me, which that's not even guaranteed that they can. So then what I'm gonna have to do is take the batteries back out, put them back in a warm place until I'm ready to set up my appointment to go see the heater people, which I need to go email them now or call them now and see when the soonest is that I can get in. Because the only way to keep the batteries warm is going to be either to take them into wherever I'm staying for a day or two, or to run the heater constantly to keep it at a reasonable temperature. But if the heater is now broken because the batteries didn't stay at the correct temperature, this is definitely one of the worst mistakes I've made in my van life so far, and maybe one of the worst that I will make for a while yet.
Okay, so I took the maintenance manual out of the packaging that I thankfully kept. Unfortunately, it's pretty useless, but I went in here, I went to the error memory, which in my heater settings is like buried with a long touch in certain places, etc. And I Googled the errors, and 2 of them are about too many resets. So one of them is about voltage not being correct, which makes sense because the batteries were cutting in and out, being able to give the correct voltage. So that caused the system to shut down, I think, and then too many resets, which I think every time the power was disconnected and reconnected, it reset itself, then made it freeze or something. So the solution said, if this is the problem, erase the error memory logs, those little numbers, which I have written down just in case, and then that should kick the system back into being able to function. So I'm gonna erase them, because I'd rather just be able to fix this here than having to go all the way to the shop. So I'm gonna try erasing them, possibly reset one last time and see if this works. Okay, so I deleted the error memory log and then restarted the heater, or it restarted itself, the control unit, and then the error said no heater, which is telling me that it's not able to communicate with the actual heater. So I went in and I checked the fuses, and if you look really closely, this fuse is blown, which I did not notice at first. It's a tiny, tiny blow. So I gotta get a new one, put that in there, see if that works. Okay, so what I've realized is somehow the fuses got switched so that the smaller fuse was in the place of the heater, which requires more electricity, and the larger fuse was in line with the control unit, which requires almost no electricity. So for the first time, I got this to respond using a larger fuse. I put a 20 amp fuse in line with the heater, and a 7 amp, because that's all I had left, for the control unit. So we may have some hope here. I'm gonna mess around, I'm gonna see if I can get this to work, and then heat this van up and leave it heated every single time I leave the van when it's in cold weather for longer than 12 hours, I guess. I guess maybe crisis averted. We will see though. Crisis averted. Now I will just leave the heater on at the lowest temp, which I think is 54 degrees, and I'll just have it on infinity. It's never going to turn off unless I turn it off. It'll cycle on and off if it can keep the van hot enough, which it does. In a couple minutes it'll get it up to about 54, and then it'll be pretty nice. So then I'll just have to make sure I turn the car on every once in a while to restore electricity to run the heater and keep an eye on things. And we may have just averted a serious, serious crisis. I was so worried. I'm so glad that possibly just figuring it out myself, I may have fixed it. We'll see. Stay tuned.